Welcome back to Transit Route. We're going to continue building the CTA system in Chicago in Subway Builder. Last episode we left off building the loop tracks downtown, so that's the purple and brown lines, and we're going to continue today with the orange, pink, and green, so let's get started. Okay, taking a look at the map of the system here, the green line goes on the tracks we already built through the loop and then goes to the west and south, and to the south it branches off into the two ends. So we're going to start building the green line on the west side. And we'll do a quick Google Earth tour. You can see the Clinton green and pink passes over the Ogilvy Transportation Center, which we're going to build once we start doing the Metra lines later, and we go through the west loop into Morgan and Ashland. So the green and pink go on the same tracks here, where the pink splits off to the south, but the green keeps going west to Damon. This is a new station, and I think this is the station they use for the United Center. You can see the stadium down to the south. So if you're going to United Center, you'd probably go to the Damon green line. And this is California. One thing you can see along this line is there's a lot of empty lots along the line, especially like right around the station. Even though it's a pretty walkable area, there's a lot of empty lots, which seem like they would be good spots for transit-oriented development. So just take a look at the map around here. We're going west, and this is where it lines up with the Metra tracks. You can see the CTA next to the Metra tracks. And it gets into Oak Park. So the green line ends in downtown Oak Park. So we're going to build this west section of the green line first. Taking a look at the demand, you can see there's quite a bit of office demand in the west loop downtown, and then not too much until they get to Oak Park. There's a cluster, and this is all the residential demand. So there is some residential along the west side where the green line goes through, so hopefully they'll start using this. And now you can see me with the time lapse building this stretch of the green line now. So here's the last station in Oak Park. Have to leave some room for the Metra tracks in the future, because we're going to build the Metra lines once we finish CTA. So we'll use our money and build this for now. And I'm going to take a loan because we don't have a whole lot of money to build the rest of the lines with yet. So let's build the southern stretch of the green line. Do a quick Google Earth tour of the south branch. So first is Roosevelt, which is connected to the underground Red Line Roosevelt station. And all the tracks branch off, and the green line goes south past McCormick Place. You can see that big giant building is the McCormick Convention Center. And next is the Bronzeville IIT 35th Street. So that's here, going through Bronzeville, curving around to Indiana. and 43rd. I think these are the oldest tracks in the system that are still in use. They're dated to 1892, I think, and this branch was built and was used for the World's Fair way back then. And these stations here are going to be useful for people commuting to the University of Chicago and Hyde Park. You can see it's just across the park from here. And I think in real life a lot of people take buses from these stations to get from the CTA elevated to the U Chicago area. So, and the Green Line used to have a station that went one further, connecting over to the east side. But it doesn't anymore. A lot of old stations were destroyed. And here's the other branch that goes to Ashland and 63rd. So this is Halstead. And through Englewood, we get to Ashland and 63rd. And it looks like the tracks used to keep going. I don't know if there was other stations further to the west, but they kind of just end there. It looks like they might have continued further in the past. Alright, so we're going to build stations. Here is the time lapse. Okay, so we've built one branch of the Green Line to Cottage Grove. I'm going to set up that branch now and run the simulation so that I can get some more money, because I pretty much used all the money that I had saved up for this episode. So I'm going to run this and hopefully it makes a little bit of money. Although I don't think this is going to be one of the more profitable lines, but that's okay. I will set this up and run the simulation and get some more money. So here we go. Okay, I ran it for a long time and now I have $3 billion. So I'm going to finish building the other branch of the Green Line, which you can see here. It's just 2 more stations. And they connect up to what we already built. So let's connect these up to the Green Line tracks on the other side of the highway here. Okay, got those connected, and I'm going to build and set up the route. And I was looking at the real service pattern, and it looks like they go about every 30 minutes in both branches, which comes to a 15-minute interval if you have both of those running on the same tracks until they split off. So I'm trying to keep it mostly realistic, but I'm not going to run as many trains as are in real life because that would be very expensive and we're not making enough money yet to do that. So let's take a look at the orange line we're going to build next. It goes from the loop and to Midway in the southwest direction, and it goes clockwise around the loop. So we're going to look at the orange line on Google Earth here. So it uses the same Roosevelt station and then branches off to the southwest this way. And the orange line was actually built fairly recently in the 90s. Or I think it finished in the early 90s. And the way they were able to get it built was by following the rail corridor that already passes through here, the Metra and the freight rail. So it's not the most ideal route if you were going to build a subway line from scratch. This kind of snakes around through the easiest area to build instead of what might be the best in terms of accessibility. And you can see a lot of these stations are kind of not in ideal locations, or they have a lot of vacant land around them like this. So that's not ideal, but it does connect up to Midway, which is a nice anchor at the end of the transit line. So a lot of the lines end up not having a lot of people ride them to the end, but Midway is at the end of the orange line. So hopefully we'll see people taking the orange line both ways and getting good ridership that way. So we're going to build it here, and I will leave the time lapse up here. Okay, we've got the orange line built, so let's put in the route. We just have to make sure we go the right direction around the loop, and it goes clockwise. So here we go. And just connecting that up. And trying to make it somewhat realistic with the existing service pattern you can see in those tables with the times of the trains. So we've got the orange and green running. Now we can finish with the pink. So we'll do one more Google Earth tour. You can see the pink follows the green out of the loop and then branches off here. There's kind of a big gap here. You'd think there would be a station there next to United Center, but there's not. And the first one to the south is Polk. You can see it passes through or underneath the large hospital building. So that's kind of cool architecture. And we're going through the Pilsen neighborhood here as it makes its way west. And coming up towards the end here where it runs at street level. This is 54th and Cermak. You can see the pink line used to go pretty far west. Actually, it wasn't the pink line back then. I think it was before they had the color system. But yeah, this line used to go a lot further west, but got cut in the past. So I'm going to build it in the time lapse here. I had to work my way around that hospital building because the game would have charged me like $600 million just to build through there, even though it actually does go through the building in real life. So this part doesn't look 100% accurate because I have to weave around that building, but I connect back up to the real track here. So making our way, and I will let the time lapse run now. Okay, so we are just adding the route, and the pink line goes clockwise as well. So we'll make sure we're putting it in the right direction. And there we go. So now we've got the pink, orange, green, brown, purple, red, and yellow. So the only one left is the blue line, which we'll build in the next episode. Here you can see all the route ridership. I let it run for a while. Still not super profitable compared to other cities that I've played, like New York and London. But we also haven't built the blue line yet, which is the second highest ridership line. So anyway, let's follow along with this orange line train. This is in the morning rush hour around 7 a.m. So hopefully it's getting used, and looks like yes. People are taking it from Midway and gradually getting on as it passes towards the loop. And here's where it enters the loop. It looks like some people got off at Roosevelt. And then it makes its way around the loop. And we'll see if anybody gets on to take the train to Midway, because I would expect some people using the orange line to commute to Midway in the morning. And yes, it looks like there's about 100 something people who will be taking it to Midway. So not a whole lot of ridership. I would think there'd be a little bit more taking it to Midway, but we've got about 100 people on this train. And I think they will ride it to the end of the line. Okay, and now we will take a look at the pink line. So this line is not super high ridership. You can see I'm only using the 5-car train instead of 10 cars because I don't expect to have a whole lot of ridership here. It's not the longest, and it doesn't pass through super dense areas, but it does look like it's getting some use, people taking it downtown. So that's good to see. And it enters the loop and goes around clockwise. And we will leave it there because I don't think anyone's going to get on to go to the west in the morning rush hour. And finally, we can take a look at a Green Line train, which I also am only using the 5-car trains because it's not getting a whole lot of ridership. I think about between the two lines, it's like 30,000 people in the game, so that's way less than the Red Line. So I think just the 5-car trains work for now. We'll see. Okay, people are riding into the loop, and they mostly get off in the loop, but there's some riding it, continuing, probably going to the University of Chicago. I think some of them got off at Indiana there, gradually getting off. And I think these people will continue to Cottage Grove, which it looks like people are using that to go to the University of Chicago. So there's the total line ridership so far. You can see the list of stations by ridership. Roosevelt's pretty busy, and Midway as well is now one of our busiest stations. And we've got people making transfers here. You can see all of that information. And we've got decent usage. We've still got a lot of area to cover, especially in the Northwest. But you can see a lot of people are not taking transit to get to those red dots. So that's something we're going to have to work on. But that's all we're going to build for today. You can see we've still got the O'Hare connection, which is going to be the blue line in the next episode. So thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe for more. I'll see you next time.